Okay, let's start our lesson. Okay, the last part. I do think that you know how to answer if the question asking you about comparing the reactivities of metals. Okay, if a metal has less electron in outermost shell electrons, it is more easy to lose. So the reactivities will be higher. So group 1 has a higher reactivities comparing to group 2, and group 2 has a higher reactivities comparing to group 3. And the same if the electron is in a electron shell far away from the nucleus. Okay, we are talking about the electron in the outermost shell. If there are four outermost shell, there are four occupied electron shell. That means the outermost shell electrons is more far away from the nucleus comparing with those atoms has only two shell. Okay, then why going down a group in the periodic table? Usually the reactivities will increase. Okay, so potassium has a high reactivity than sodium. So you can refer to the metal reactivity series if you still think that it is quite difficult to remember the sequence. But you can see, I can tell you the reactivity series. The first one is potassium, sodium, lithium. The fourth, calcium, magnesium. The sixth is aluminum. Okay, just looking at the periodic table, you can remember the first six in the metal reactivity series. Okay, but because the others, zinc, iron, lead, they are transition metals. They have different reason to comparing the reactivities, so we cannot use the periodic table to predict. But if you're asking about why they have different reactivities, you will be only asking about these six only. Okay. Then answer by the two reasons. Less electron, more reactive, higher reactivities. And number of electron shell increase, higher reactivities. Okay. Okay, 11.9 applications of the reactivity series. Okay, let's looking at two new terms. One term is called reduction. Reduction. The concept of reduction and oxidations will be more detailedly explained in the first term of Form 5. It is a very important section. Actually, actually, it is the most difficult part. I can tell you. Talking about the reaction of chemicals. We will only divide into four categories to talking about the reactions of different substances. The first one is metal. We almost finished it. The next part will be acid and alkali. The third category is carbon-containing compounds. And the last one is oxidation and reductions. Only four categories to study the chemical properties of different subjects. And reduction and oxidation is the most difficult. I will talking about the fundamental concept of these two in this part. It is because actually the reaction of metal are or can be grouped into the category of oxidation and reduction. 其實我哋講話 oxidation and reduction，我哋會將呢個化學咧會拆開成四個 categories 咧，四個分類咧去學習佢哋啲化學反應嘅。第一個分類就係 metal，第二個分類就係 acid and alkali，第三個分類就係 carbon-containing compounds，最後就係 oxidation and reduction。最難應該 oxidation and reductions，因為到時啲 equation 難啲寫㗎，咁但係分數會高啲。咁亦都係當係中高上難度嘅題目。你搞得掂嘅話咧，其實攞4啊攞5㗎啦，理論上。係啦，但係到時要多啲時間去 practice 啊，要完全啱晒，其實係需要啲時間去練習嘅。咁但係其實而家我哋講嘅metal 嘅 reactions 咧，其實原來喺某程度上都可以當係 oxidation reduction。不過而家我哋唔睇呢兩個 terms，因為用呢兩個 concept 咧就難個概念難啲去理解，所以我哋唔暫時理論上係唔需要將佢 group into oxidation reduction。不過而家初步地理解咩叫 oxidation reduction 啦，其實個概念好簡單嘅啫。Reductions, the meanings of reductions in Chinese 還原。That means back to the original status. And for metals, we have already learned that metal have some reactions. It will form compounds. But we also study in chapter 10, how can we get the pure metal? We need to extract it from the oxide of the metal or the ores of the metals, right? So metal, actually there are two reactions. We can have the original ores and then we make it back to metal. And metal take place some reaction, like reaction with oxygen, hydrogen, water, or acid to form metal compound. Okay, for metal, the compound of metal form back to metal. Actually, ores are compound of metal. Compound of metal form back to metal. And metal can also undergo some reaction to form a new compound. Actually, two way. And we can name the two processes as reduction and oxidation. Which one is reduction? Reduction means form back to original. So the first reaction or the second reaction can be named as reduction. Which one is a reaction form back to original substance? Ores to metal. So for chemistry, the studying of chemistry, at the start, we're talking about the first reaction, we name it as reduction. Reductions means that from compound of metal form back to metal. And the second reaction, we name it as oxidation. And what is oxidation? You know that reduction reduce back into the normal. Oxidations, you can see, oh, oxide, forming oxide, not only forming oxide. Actually, oxidation means lose electron. So reduction can also considering as, because yes, gains electron. Every time when you looking at oxidation, actually it is talking about a reaction losing electrons. Reduction, gaining electrons. Reduction, form back to original. From a compound, form back to element. Oxidation, from an element, form a compound. For metal, form a compound. Okay, but later in Form 5, we will try to broaden the meanings of oxidation reductions. Okay, but up to now, for metal, reduction, that's mean the convert of metal compound back into metal. Oxidations means the reaction of metal, that is. So, sometimes you will see the description of extracting oil. We can also using this description instead of extraction. Actually, it is extraction of metal ore. They are talking the same things. So if the question asks you, write down the equation of the reducing of metal oxide. Oh, that's mean the extraction of metal oxide back into metal. Then only three methods: electrolysis, heating with carbon, heating only. Okay. So you can see, reducing metal, they are the same, just like extraction of metal. Okay, only three methods. But a new one, actually the following three method, there is a new one.
another method.
Addition with the method we had already learned in chapter 10, a new method. The first method, heating metal oxide only, you know it. The third method, reduction of metal oxide with carbon, you know it. You can change the reduction as extraction. The meanings are the same. But now we sometimes will use the reduction instead of extraction, the term extraction, the same. So you can see the following. Oh, the same. We have already learned. Okay, heating mercury to oxide directly will form back to mercury and oxygen. Heating silver oxide directly will form silver oxide. But now we can name it is the reduction of the oxide of mercury and silver. Okay, not a new thing, old thing, but the new one. Reduction with metal. How can we do it? It is the concept is not difficult. Okay, if you have a metal oxide, how can you reduce it or how can you extract? Try to find something to remove the oxygens, right? For example, if you are given copper 2 oxide, how can we get back to copper? If we can remove the oxygen, then the copper will form back to the element. How can we remove the oxygens? Copper, we cannot heat it directly. In chapter 10, we use carbon to try to remove the oxygens. Why? Carbon loves oxygen. Carbon will remove the oxygen from the metal oxide, okay, and form carbon dioxide. Very common compound. But except for carbon, which substance also like oxygen very much? No, yes, carbon monoxide is good. Actually, we can also use carbon monoxide to remove the oxygen from a metal oxide. Okay, sometimes you will looking at some situations like this. But except for carbon monoxide, which substance, which kind of substance also like oxygen very much? You have already, huh? Yes? Yes, a metal element, especially for those metal which has a very high reactivities. In this chapter, the first part of this chapter, we know that we put the metal in air, hit it gently. Oh, it reacts vigorously, means that the metal like to react with oxygen very much. Okay? Then, if you put a reactive metal beside a metal oxide, especially if the metal has a higher reactivity than the metal. Because it has a high reactivity, it loves oxygen much comparing with copper. Then the magnesium will remove the oxygen. So you can see that finally the oxygen goes into the more reactive metals. And then because the oxygen is removed, the original metal oxide will form back to metal. Okay? And we can name, actually there are two steps of reaction or two different processes. Copper oxide form back to copper. It just fit the concept of metal oxide form back to metal. So this part of the reaction can be named as reduction. And the reactive metal, it gains the oxygen. It removes the oxygen from the original metal oxide and form a new metal oxide. So it is a process of oxidation. Okay? It is a pair of reaction. Usually, not usually, always, reduction occur at the same time as oxidation. A reduced and B which react with A is oxidations, undergo oxidations. Okay, it is a fundamental concept of oxidation and reductions. But of course, in Form 5, you will study more detailedly. Okay. Similarly, the following reactions is also a very common oxidation and reduction, and it has its unique usage. The reaction is if you have iron 3 oxide. You can put some aluminum powder to it, then heat it. It will has a very rigorous reactions. Because aluminum has a higher reactivity than iron, the aluminum will remove the oxygen from iron and form back to aluminum oxide, and the iron is reduced back into iron. This reaction, we name it by thermic reactions. It is violent, very rigorous. The reaction react very fast and give a lot of heat. And it has a unique usage. The unique usage is actually you know what is the railway, right? The railway, the railway itself made by iron, but because daily the train, okay, passing it, and the train, the weight of the train is very high, okay, it will damage the railway. Okay, so frequently the railway need to replace by new pieces. But you can try to think about how can we exchange the railway. It need to replace per years. Every 1 year, it need to replace by a new one. Can we stop the train service and replace the whole railway daily, once a year? No, because if we want to, for example, the West Railway, the name of the West Railway are so long. If we remove or exchange it, in 1 day, no, sorry, remove it, in the same time, we may need to stop the West Railway for more than a week. Can we stop the service of the West Railway for a week? No. So how can they replace the railway? They replace it daily by daily and not the whole railway. They replace only a short distance. They will, at the light, when the West Railway is stopping the service, then they will cut a small pieces of the railway, put a new one. Okay? 我即鬼夜晚嘅時候 cut 咗一條 and then put a new pieces to replace the old one. Oh, but the problem is the old railway, the new railway. How can we join it in the junction? How can we join it? No, soldering is not enough. Soldering, actually, the solder materials is not strong enough. If it is horn only, then in daytime, the train passing through it, it will most probably break immediately. No, actually, they will put these two things into the junction, hit it, then it will undergo this reaction, the transmit reactions. Then the iron free oxide will form back to iron. The iron will fuse the two parts. Okay? And because the temperature is very high, it will also melt the old railway and the new railway. So they can fix or join each other firmly and strongly. 係啊，其實佢咧啱啱駁咗嚟之後咧，就會倒呢啲嘢落去，跟住會加熱 heating，跟住佢就自動會發生嘅反應啦。And this reaction will form new iron to join the two railway, the old one and the new one. Okay, and also it will enclosed by some aluminum oxide. Still remember? Yes, it is a protective oxide. Yeah. Okay, newly formed iron and pure iron. You may think that it is easy to rust, but it is circling by aluminum oxide. It will protect it from rusting. Okay, this method is so useful to join the railway. if you have two pieces of iron, if you want to join them firmly, you can use this reaction to do it. Okay?
咁樣換後炒遲啲咪唔使換咯。
唔係啊，今日換呢橛咯，下就換下一橛咯，再下就換下一橛。
之後換晒之後，
香港嘅東鐵咧，佢哋差唔多1年就換一次嘅，咁就日日夜晚都係要換嘅。佢哋有 team 人咧，每晚就係咁做嘅，鋸一橛走，擺橛新嘅嘢落去。所以有陣時你when you are yes you can see they will put some new very 你就算輕鐵有陣時都見到啊，無端端會擺段路軌喺個舊路軌隔離。其實佢哋係準備下次夜晚就鋸走佢擺落去。OK。So for the extraction, actually it is the most important reaction. Once have been asked in public exam. Once, not always, okay? But you should know this reaction. So let's stop the teaching now because it's almost the end of the lesson.
咁我學咗 reduction